Thank you, Deanna. We're so pleased to have so many of our members attending this meeting. Thank you all for your interest and support. These past several months have been difficult for all of us, and I am sure that you will agree that the arts, and specifically live theater, have been especially hard hit by the need for social distancing. We opened our 85th season with a terrific lineup of shows, as well as increased seating comfort and capacity. Honestly, we were not sure we would be able to fill all of our seats with butts this first year, but to our delight, ticket sales exceeded all expectations. Harvey was a huge success, and as our season progressed through sellout performances of The Humans and Murder on the Orient Express, we were anticipating a record-breaking year and talking seriously about the need for additional space. Then COVID happened. The other day, when I checked my calendar and saw that Friday evening had been the night my husband and I had tickets for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, I choked up as I was forced to delete the entry. I personally want to thank the members of GLM for requesting a special performance of The Imaginary Invalid. Without their understanding of how heartbreaking it would have been for our actors to shut down without an opening night, that memorable evening would not have been possible. As disappointing as it has been to shutter our theater, we have been overwhelmed and amazed at the generosity you and other members of our community continue to exhibit. Individual giving over these past several months has far exceeded prior periods, and we are so thankful and grateful for your continued support in these difficult times. At my advanced age, I'm continually reminded of the ancient Chinese curse, "May you live in interesting times." These interesting times are challenging all of us to think creatively and to not lose track of our optimism as we navigate situations for which there are no game plans nor true historical precedents. Reno Little Theater has been part of the biggest little city for over 85 years. Even though we're currently faced with shutdown, it's our intent to have future generations remember 2020 as the year we as a theater and Reno as a community all came together to keep live theater alive and kicking and continuing to make a better community for all of us. I want to thank all of you for your continued support. And now I'd like to once again ask Deanna to take center stage and proceed with the reading and approval of last year's minutes. Thank you.
Okay. So last year's annual meeting took place on July 28th, 2019. The meeting was called to order at 10:17 by the board chair, Leah Wiegren, who welcomed everyone and introduced board and staff members. Quorum was established with 26 members present. Board and staff members present were Moira Bengachia, Maxine Hermana, Leah Wiegren, Sherry Christopher, Nettie Oliviero, Cassandra Corey, Jeff Chamberlain, Deanna Pitstava, Melissa Taylor, LaRonda Etheridge, Chad Sweet, Victoria Blanford, Tiff Bream. Others present were Julie Douglas, Patrick Crabb, Kirk Gardner, Greg Wimmer, Mitch Bengachia, Claire Steppett, Jerry Wager, Janet Wager, Terry Gray, Lyric Burt, Nancy Potawills, Baba, Robert Zellers, and Ryan Costello. Secretary Moira Bengachia read the minutes of the July 29th, 2018 meeting, which were approved by general consent. Financial report, Treasurer Jeff Chamberlain gave account balances. Checking was at $299,720.37. Money market, $7,581.47. Endowment fund, $45,664. Staff report, the 84th season saw attendance was up by 2.5%. Tickets sold of 8,996. Season ticket sales increased by 52%. We welcomed 11 new actors, 4 new directors, 7 guest artists, and raised more than $1,500 in a van full of clothing for Step 2. 85th season ticket sales are nearly at 100% renewals. As far as tech, we worked with interns from the WCSD. The season consisted of a steel boxing ring for Oleana, 2 fireplaces, Christmas Story, every Christmas story ever told, and The Foreigner, a 14-foot skylight for Barefoot in the Park, a trap door for the foreigner, and a set made of postcards for Sense and Sensibility. Guest artists, our goal has been to hire between 3 to 5 per season, and this time it went up to 7. James Murdoch, dramaturge, Adi Cabral, dialect coach, Haley Meadows, poster art, Jason Heil, acting workshop, Keely Cobb, dance, Logan Reagan, scenic design, and Ray Proctor, actor. Partnerships, continuing with step 2, art, Latino Arte, For the Love of Jazz, RGJ Storyteller, Sierra Nevada Ballet, and Lunafest. New associations with Puppeteers for Fears coming back next season, Althea Film Premiere, Wolfstock, Get Bent, baby showers, and birthday parties that added 75 events to our calendar and several hundred more audience members. Education, we produced 2 Broadway hourly shows, conducted 10 weeks of camp serving 168 campers, a TYA production, partnered with Roy Gom Elementary School, initiated a Broadway hourly teen production, which was so successful and rewarding that it will continue under the name Teen Speak Out. Sold more than 1,500 tickets to education shows with 409 participants. We created specialty cocktails for each show, selling over 350. Some of our volunteers learned theater manager for working with box office. We gave space for a theater gym that met every 2 weeks for 10 weeks, where actors could work on their craft. We're nominated for an Excellence in Arts Business Management, sponsored by EDON, next season too, and achieved 100% board giving for the 9th consecutive year. We had more than 166 volunteers for over 14,000 hours, 9,684 concession items sold, over 10,000 flyers prepared, and more than 12,000 programs folded. In staff development, Tiff Bream and Victoria Blanford joined the staff last August. Chad went to a Shamsis lighting workshop through a City of Reno Artist Residency Express grant. Melissa is the only representative from Nevada in the executive program in Arts and Culture Strategy, which is an international Ivy League certificate program through National Art Strategies and the University of Pennsylvania, and she was invited to participate in the first class of the Nonprofit Academy through the community. Cancellation, the marketing and development coordinator was let go. Collapsing sewer lines at Arroyo caused us to discontinue use of the toilet. We face overall reductions in funding opportunities, larger applicant pools, and increasingly difficult grant requirements, changing our accounting system from cash basis to accrual, and getting theater manager to give us the data we need for QuickBooks. Facilities, we had the stucco repaired on the west-facing red wall, bought 3 new quiet moving lights, and bought our own water cooler units. For year 2020, plans: install new donated foyer carpet, reinstate the building committee with regular meetings, review and update the capital reserve schedule, and install a new seat and riser system this September, which will increase our seating to 142. The total budget for the seating system is $215,000, which is coming from cash reserves, still within policy limits, and we're working on foundation and private donors and have sold 24 named seats so far. Claire recommended that the seating diagram used in today's meeting be posted on our website. A 3-phase growth plan. Phase 1 was to staff sustainability through clear job descriptions, staffing structure, and compensation, complete as of July 31st, 2019. Phase 2, maximize earned revenue through an increase in seating capacity, will complete September 27th of 2019. Phase 3, new building planning. The building committee will reconvene in early year 20. A new 3-year strategy or strategic plan centered around the launch of the new building project will be completed in early FY20. How can you be a part of it all? Volunteer in front of house, work on a production, serve on a committee, play discovery, building, budget and finance, human resources, development, publicity, and engagement. Tell your friends, neighbors, coworkers, and local business owners about the big art at our Little Theater and join us for our 85th season. Policy and committee reports. Finance, the change in accounting systems is a big challenge. The budget for next season is expected to reach around $500,000. Governance, more under elections. HR, the new hire and marketing and development coordinator didn't work out, so we've contracted with Lyric for our social media and marketing work, and we'll continue to look at ways to address development. Elections. Leah and Anthony are terming out after 6 years of service. Leah will continue for a year in an advisory capacity. This will leave the board at 9 members, which is our minimum for the bylaws. Governance is vetting candidates who will address our specific needs, such as an attorney and CPA, as well as our needs for diversity. The committee has no recommendation today for electing anyone. There were no nominees from the floor and elections were closed. Melissa thanked Leah and Anthony for all they've done over the years and presented tokens for our appreciation. Questions from the membership. Claire asked if the PowerPoint presentation used at today's meeting could be posted to the website. Yes. Nancy asked about season auditions. They are August 24th and 25th, and all slots are full. Individual shows may have their own auditions as they get closer. Nancy asked about the new building plans. We're still in quiet planning phase. Plans include a shop, rehearsal hall, classroom, costume, prop storage. Estimated budget is between $2 and $4 million, including the guest artist dorms. A large challenge will be parking. We're not in a place to make any announcements yet. Claire asked about the annual report mentioned in last year's minutes. Due to more pressing matters, it didn't happen, but it's still possible depending largely on when our financial information gets done, but it's not a high priority. Claire stated the value to volunteers of having more information on the website. It was agreed and suggested that she get with the committee to share her suggestions. Ryan asked how to join a committee and where do we need the most help. Development would be a good area for Ryan, specifically corporate sponsorships, which he can learn more about from Melissa. Julie asked if there are plans for an 85th birthday in October 2020. It's possible depending on workload and the willingness of volunteers to take it on. There are plans for an epic kickoff on opening night of this season. Melissa advised using committees more to avoid staff burnout. Nancy asked about rentals and if there's a process for vetting them. We're not looking to take on any more partnerships and are selective about rentals based on their needs, our schedule, and the income potential. Melissa closed by saying we have very much to be proud of going into this historic 85th season. Meeting was adjourned at 11:08. Are there any additions or suggested edits to those minutes? Okay, then the minutes will be submitted as is if everyone is in agreement.
Deanna. We'll have the financial report now. Jeff Chamberlain.
Hello, everybody. Melissa, in this one, you just want me to cover the account balances, and then we'll go over the income statement down lower at the, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So short information, the checking account stands at $193,800.98. Current endowment amount is $45,459.58, of which we have spendable from that account $31,810.58. So that's just our current balances. And then a little further down, we'll go over the income and expense statement projected through the end of the year.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to invite Melissa now to give the staff report.
Great. All right. So in just a moment, I'm going to share my screen with you. So give me one moment. All righty. Deanna, do you see the 85th season report? Great, because you're the only face I see right now. That'll make this less terrifying. All right, so good morning again, everyone. My name is Melissa Taylor, the Executive Director of Reno Little Theater. Deanna, thanks for reading all of that from last year. It was really interesting to hear where we thought we were going this year. And I'm happy to say that actually a lot of the items that you just mentioned were things that we were able to complete before March hit. I'm sure that people have a lot of questions about where we are and where we're going, and I will get to that. But I'll ask for questions and answers at the end of this report, just because I think that'll be the easiest way to move forward. So here we go. Our fiscal year is August 1st, 2019 to July 31st, 2020. That means that we are technically still in the FY20 year, or our 85th season, for just a few more days. And what a year. We had a lot of triumphs to celebrate, including renovations to the theater. There was a new exit door put in. We upgraded the HVAC. We redid the tech booth, and we had to make adjustments to the theater flooring for the installation of new seating. We increased our capacity by about 34%. We saw a reduction of low volume complaints, which was the number one complaint that we have gotten for the last several years, people having a hard time hearing. We also increased our entrances on the stage by having the pass-through underneath of the seating, and we actually utilized them effectively in Murder on the Orient Express. We did actually raise some money for the names, or for the seats, including a $30,000 donation from the E.L. Cord Foundation and a $5,000 donation from the Bennett Family Foundation. We are also still doing the named seating campaign, although obviously there's a brief pause at the moment. This year we saw our highest selling main stage performances, and I'll get into the numbers in just a little bit. We also had a board retreat where we were starting those 3-year plans, our next strategic plan. And the first thing that happened was the update to our mission statement. Our new mission statement, which is very close to our old mission statement, but is just a little tighter, is: the mission of Reno Little Theater is to produce high-quality theatrical experiences that inspire, entertain, and strengthen our community through artistic engagement and collaboration. For this mission statement, we really wanted to highlight the community part of community theater, and how we go about strengthening our community is through the fact that our art is a collaborative effort, and that we prioritize engagement from the minute everyone walks through the door. The board worked on this for a while, and we're really excited about it. We launched it, I think, in February. We let everyone know. So we were able to do 3 main stage shows this year. We did Harvey, which sold 1,433 seats with 130 average and making $25,691. We followed that up with The Humans, which only ran for 10 performances, but still sold 1,412 tickets and had 141 average, meaning we have 142 seats in our venue, and the average was 141. It was really actually something that was kind of unexpected for us, because it's a drama with a small cast, and yet word of mouth on the show was really fantastic and people really loved it. We made $26,553 on that show. The last main stage show that we were able to do was Murder on the Orient Express, which was our highest selling show of all time so far, with 2,244 tickets sold, 141 average, and $43,522. So we were off to a really, really great start. In fact, we were at 60% of our budget for box office at 50% through the season. So we were in a really good spot. But then things happened. So we made it to opening night of The Imaginary Invalid. And first, I want to thank the cast and crew of that show for the work that they did. The show was awesome. We were really proud of it. I think it would have done really well, and in fact, probably exceeded our expectations, as the other 3 shows did. But unfortunately, we made the decision to shut down on opening night of that show. Max pointed out that we did have a private viewing of the performance for about 20 people, because Good Luck Macbeth, Joe Atack asked if the cast and crew of Noises Off could be here for that show. because they were also shutting their performance down, and they understood that all that work that had been done for 6 weeks, was suddenly going to disappear. So we're really grateful for the support that we saw through that, and we believe that it was the right decision to shut down when we did. The other shows that we were supposed to do this season were the Quality of Life and the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Some good news about the cancellations. When we canceled, we gave people the option to either donate their tickets, to convert them to gift certificates, or in extreme cases to refund. Less than 10 people asked for refunds for their tickets, which is pretty amazing. Everybody really understood why we were shutting down. And most of the response that I got was, we can't wait till you open back up. So we spent a lot of time converting all of those funds over to gift certificates, and now people will be able to utilize them for future productions. And they're already starting to redeem them for the virtual work that we're doing, which is pretty exciting. But also $5,600 of tickets that were purchased to these shows were converted into donations. Another example of how our donors really have stepped up and helped us through this crisis. One of the questions that I get is, will these shows return? As of right now, I don't have an answer for that. I know that we are hopeful that we will produce the Quality of Life and the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee in future seasons, but right now we really don't know when that will be, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. As far as the Imaginary Invalid, there's currently no plan to try to get that cast back together to do the show. Many of them have moved on. Also, the subject matter is a little difficult after a global pandemic. So we hope to bring that back in future seasons, but it will definitely be a different production. Some amazing tech highlights, though. In just those 3 shows, we had some really fantastic things happen. We had Harvey's Magical Set change, the 2-story set for the humans, which you see here, which honestly rivals most of the productions I've ever seen of the show. Also, we were able to rent costumes from Oregon Shakespeare Festival, thanks to a generous donation from Diane Peters for Murder on the Orient Express. And we got a lot of wonderful feedback about that show looking professional. So we were really grateful for that. The other thing that I want to congratulate our tech team on is very, very quickly learning new software for live streaming and broadcasting theatrical events. Through our partnership with Good Luck Macbeth and Bruca, our tech team with Derek Nance from Good Luck Macbeth were among the first locally to figure it all out. And we almost immediately had events happening on our YouTube channel. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. But it positioned us to be people that actually other arts organizations are asking for help. And we're really proud of that. So I'd like to thank Tiff and Chad, as well as Derek from Good Luck Macbeth, for leading the charge on that. They're super talented. We were able to bring in a ton of guest artists, although we had more coming in the back end, but I'm really happy to say that we again met our goal of 3 to 5 guest artists. We had Stacey Spanin for dramaturgy. Look at those costumes for Murder on the Orient Express that I was just talking about. Rosie Brownlow was our accent coach this season, and I want to point out that I believe there were 9 accents in Murder on the Orient Express alone. So she really worked hard for us in those first few shows. Summer Orr did our poster art. Logan Regan came back and did our scenic design for a few shows. And Logan is actually based in Georgia. And then Peter Supersano was already in the middle of recording our music for the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. So we were super excited to bring these guest artists back. Some of them were brand new and some of them were returning. We also continued many of our partnerships. In fact, I think we continued all of them. Aegis Repertory Theater produced their normal season, which is 1 production a month up through March. Latino Arte made it halfway through their season and produced a production of Frida that was bilingual, as well as a really fantastic Dia de los Muertos festival that we shut down Pueblo Street. We had thousands of people here, hundreds of tons of vendors, and it was a really, really beautiful event. We worked with Step 2 again this year around the Sage Dance Company, RGJ Storytellers, For the Love of Jazz, the Reno Historical Society, Sierra Nevada Ballet, Luna Fest, and the Draculich Foundation for Freedom of Expression. Though those asterisks at the bottom will note that all of those last 3 events didn't actually come to fruition, although all 3 of those partners are excited for returning to us when we are able to reopen. This year, we also welcomed Big Bill's musical review. We were going to host a ukulele class and concert. We were working with the Holland Project to give them rehearsal space. We also gave rehearsal space to TMCC and Bruca this year. So I'm really proud that we have continued to be a community hub for a lot of cool arts activities. And the fact that we own our building has a big thing to do with that. Education program. The education program did make it through about half of the programming this year. Elf the Musical was a giant success. That cast was, I believe, 31 kids. And we also did get to put up Teen Speak Out, Glad You Are Here. That show is about teen suicide, and we partnered with Crisis Support Services of Northern Nevada, I believe is their name now. And so we were really excited to see that program come back and just as strong as our first one. Unfortunately, though, we were unable to do spring break camp, summer break camp, and we had to move Porridge Gate, our spring Broadway Our Way, online. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. This year, we had nearly 8,000 hours donated by volunteers up through March. So we're still putting in hours that people are donating now. Some of the positions for our volunteers include ushers, box office, concessions, production, committees, and board members. So production could be on stage or off. We have typically on our roster at any given time about 200 active volunteers. And right now, RLT is specifically surviving because of the time and talent that volunteers are putting in. And I will talk about that in a moment. So I talked a little bit about our triumphs, but there were some challenges. First, change is hard. Anytime we make change, it's hard. We have gotten a ton of feedback about the seats. There are people that are not happy with the legroom, and there are people that are not happy with the lack of outside aisles. This, though, is no different than any other time that we've made a major change, including anytime we bring on a staff member, when we change the logo, or when we switch to theater manager. And I want to point out that most of this is literally perception. Our seats are actually the exact same size as the seats that we had before. While there was a slight reduction in legroom, we actually have more than is required. And the same with the aisles. People feel like because there are 10 seats and just one aisle that it's not safe, but by law, you actually can have 13 before you have another aisle. That said, perception matters. And so we have at the board level discussed the idea of potentially putting in side aisles, but we're still kind of giving it a little bit of time, because anytime there's a change, it does take a little bit of time for people to get used to it. I say that we've had complaints, but we've also had a lot of people that are excited about it, so it kind of evens out. But the biggest challenge, obviously, is COVID-19, and I'm sure that's something that you're all interested in hearing about, what we're doing and what effects it's had. So we did have to cancel the Imaginary Invalid, the Quality of Life, and 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. We also had to cancel the spring and summer camps. We had to cancel all of our partner and rental events, including 5 productions with Ageless Rep, 2 productions with Latino Arte, 5 productions with For the Love of Jazz, Bruce Brats and Ballet with Sierra Nevada Ballet, which would have been 2 performances, 4 performances with RGJ Storyteller Series, and a few others scattered along the way. The estimated loss of potential revenue from those events was $147,000, so that was a huge hit. Also, we are a phase 4 business, which means currently we are unable to open for productions until we have permission from the governor to do so. We know that there are some stipulations that would allow for live streaming from our venue in phase 2, but even that has to have governor approval from the governor's office, and it's pretty difficult to do so far. So all of our activities are currently online, and we do anticipate a reduction of earned and contributed income next year. FY20, I'm excited to share our numbers for that. Actually wasn't nearly as terrifying or horrible as it could have been, but FY21 may be tough. Grants from the City of Reno and Nevada Arts Council are currently on hold, and both of those entities are expecting potential cuts based on the budget. So we're kind of in a waiting game with some of those funds. Also, unfortunately, we did have to furlough our staff. So I am currently the only staff member on RLT. As of July 1st, our technical director, assistant technical director, education coordinator, and operations manager are on furlough. We are working hard to try to get those positions back, but unfortunately, without the ability to do live theater, we can't sustain those positions. Good news, though, is that we did receive a PPP loan of $42,800, and that was what allowed us to keep our staff on until July 1st, up through June 30th. Without ticketing revenue, again, we're just not able to sustain our payroll without depleting our reserves. And this is a tough kind of conversation. We do have reserve funding available. We also have endowment funding available, but we really know that this is not a short thing that we're dealing with. In fact, it's potentially going to push us pretty far into 2021. And so we're doing our best to protect the assets that we currently have for the long game. Our staff totally understands. I'm in regular contact with them. I know it's really hard for all of us, but I know that we have made this decision as thoughtfully as anyone possibly could have, and I'm really grateful for the board's support in that. Some bright spots, because this is a little depressing. We did receive a lot of CARES Act funding, including that $42,800 for the PPP loan. We received an additional $6,700 as an addendum to our operating support grant from Nevada Arts Council. We also were recently approved for $7,500 coming from Nevada Humanities, and that is going for FY21, which is great. Also, the City of Reno anticipates approval for the CARES Act funding that they received from the NEA, and they're expected to award full amounts, and we were eligible for $10,000. So I actually hope to hear about that by next week, but the last I've heard is that we should expect that we will be approved for $10,000 for FY21 from the City of Reno. And that is on top of the other grants that we have out for them, but the other program grants are currently just on hold. The biggest thing that really saved us right now is the fact that our individual donors have stepped up in a huge way. We received increases from all of our major donors, as well as several large unexpected gifts in the vein of like $30,000-$40,000. So it was really I don't even know what the words are. It's heartwarming and exciting, because people know that the arts are struggling, and they're saying, we want you to survive, and are really honestly helping us weather the storm in a way that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So we're really grateful. And some of those donors are on this call, so thank you. So let's talk numbers. Our FY20 budget was approved at $499,050 in income, with the expenses at $523,291. I want to point out that includes $48,000 of depreciation. Do you want to explain what that means?
What that means is that the $48,000 is not a cash expense. It does increase our expenses, but it's not a cash expense. So we really feel that since we used to be on a cash basis, most of our members haven't been used to seeing this depreciation included, but we are including it now in all of our numbers.
We're sort of growing up in our accounting is what it is. The actuals for this year as of July 24th are income at $416,538. I can't say that number. I'm tired. $416,538. You'll see that I broke down what we expected to come in for contributed and what we expected to come in for earned revenue. This is important. We actually exceeded what we expected to come in for contributed income this year. Again, a lot of that had to do with the PPP loan and the individual donors who were giving us unexpected gifts, but we actually exceeded what we expected for contributed income. And then on the earned revenue side, as I pointed out earlier, though we were about 50% through our year, we were closer to 63% already of our earned expected earned income. So we were in a good spot. Our expenses, again, including that depreciation, were $435,538. So our expected net actually is better than what we were planning. Also, we have about $38,000 in those deferred gift certificates. So that's all just to say that FY20, we survived it and then some. And we'll talk a little bit about FY21 now. Oh, no, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, but there was some more good news, and that is the collaboration with Good Luck Macbeth and Bruca Theater. This started because we all were reaching out to each other saying, are you shutting down? Are you shutting down? What are you doing? And we all decided to meet on March 13th, Friday the 13th, our opening night. I don't know why we put an opening night on a Friday the 13th, but we met at the Pioneer Center and made the decision to approach this as a collaboration because we all felt that doing so would make our community safer and having a joint message was going to be stronger. That has blossomed into a really effective collaboration. We now have a Ghostlight TV, our YouTube channel, where we're posting all kinds of virtual events. We also have the Ghostlight Theater Fund, where we are raising money that is distributed evenly between the 3 theater companies. Reno Little Theater is actually managing that because we have the capacity to do so. We also have been working on collective action for closures, safety protocols, reopening, as well as diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in response to what's important to our community right now and always. Push. And there's more good news. If you think we've been shut down, we totally have not. In fact, we've done so many things that I was shocked when I was writing it all down. Since we closed, we had a 24-hour play festival, which included 35 artists, and I think we ended up with like 6 new 10-minute plays. Chad and Tiff were running tech from their homes for literally 24 hours. It was pretty incredible to watch. We've also had some fun bingo fundraisers. The cast of Murder on the Orient Express literally wrote a sequel to Murder on the Orient Express called Murder on the Orient Espresso, and we filmed and aired that. Eric Goldstein wrote a show called F.U. Aristotle, which we ran for an entire weekend, and it was live every single night. That was our first ticketed event that we were hosting on our website. So this is really a pivotal moment with F.U. Aristotle. That is when we understood our capacity to protect the work of playwrights and artists in a way that will allow us to move forward with booking royalties for other shows as well. Also, Scott Hernandez and Michelle Calhoun, as well as Eric Goldstein and Ryan Costello, have written a really fantastic radio play or audio play called Abby and the Admiral. It airs every Monday, and the response to this show has been fantastic. Again, we are doing this through our ticketing system, so it actually is generating revenue, and that is basically a fundraiser for RLT, so we're really grateful for that. We also have launched a class every other Thursday, Accents with Adi. Our board member, Adi Cabral, is hosting an accent class. And so far, each week has had between 8 and 10 students, and it's a really fantastic class that I highly recommend. I'd also like to point out that Adi has asked us specifically to fundraise with this event. So every month we're choosing a local charity to support with 20% of the proceeds. In July, it has been the Children's Cabinet, and in August, it will be Accept. So not only are we giving opportunities for our artists locally and basically everywhere to learn from Adi, we're also raising funds for Reno Little Theater and nonprofits that are hurting right now. So we're really proud of that. We also launched Perspectives, which is a multicultural play reading series. We're doing that in collaboration with Reno Theater of Color. Our first show was in July. It was Satisfaction by Nandita Shenoy. And we are using a profit sharing model for that. So that's something that might be kind of groundbreaking for us in how we are going to continue to compensate artists. And again, we're highlighting artists of color as well as playwrights of color, and are really excited about the future for that series to potentially move to, our stage. We've also continued to participate in Downstage Center with Sandy in the Round and other Ghostlight TV projects. I know Moira was on Downstage Center with Sandy, Adi was as well, I was. So RLT has really been out there. Our education program transferred Porridge Gate, which was our Broadway Our Way show for the spring. It was in the middle of rehearsals and was set to open in a few weeks. We actually were able to transfer it to virtual midway through the project. We only lost 4 students, and I have a lot of children, so was able to fill in those spots. And we were able to successfully put that online as well. And we launched Character Creation Station, a virtual class. So what comes next? I don't know what slide comes next, I'm going to be honest. Aha, yes. So what are we doing? In addition to continuing to plan for virtual events, we are really taking this time. One of the things that happens in most theater companies is that you just run and run and run, and it's this show and the next show and the next show. This slowdown has afforded us some time to review and update our organizational structure, our policies and programs, specifically to address inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility, but also general effectiveness. One of the things I'm really proud of at RLT is that we constantly evaluate ourselves to make sure that we are serving our community in the way that we say we want to. And this is a big part of that. So we're currently working on the formation and launching of an IDEA committee that stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. It is my goal and our committee's goal that this will be a standing committee that will evaluate all of our programs and processes moving forward for those measures, and will also serve as the place where people can go in the event that we are not meeting what we've said we would in terms of those areas. We're looking at ways that we can really put in measurable, effective policies and procedures that truly make us a community organization. But this is not new, and I want to point that out because I think it's important that everyone understands that this has actually been a conversation that we've been having for the entire year. It's only recently been that much more at the forefront because of what's going on nationally and even locally in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement. But Reno Little Theater was part of the first DEI cohort that the city of Reno was hosting. So the board knows that this is something we've been talking about for a while. And the board is committed, and I'm really grateful for that. We have 2 board members that, thanks to a grant from Renown, will be attending Art Equities board training. It's a national board training 10-week program on basically inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility for board members. And they'll be bringing that training back to share not only with Reno Little Theater, but with Good Luck Macbeth and Bruca. And then along with Good Luck Macbeth and Bruca, we are working on bringing a trainer in from Fearless Communicators to work with staff and maybe some other board members and key volunteers on these measures as well. Reopening, that's probably the thing everyone is the most interested in hearing about, but I'm sure you can understand that right now we're still in a wait and see. It's constant evaluation and reevaluation. Every time I write a plan, it is invalid by the next day because the news is changing so fast. So we are going to continue to focus on virtual programming. Our play selection committee right now is working on finding shows for like a virtual main stage season. We're targeting fall for the relaunch of the education program with virtual classes and productions. So I'll be working with LaRonda a little bit next month to start seeing how we can bring that program back and also bring our education coordinator position back. We're targeting fall for the possible in-house production to live stream and broadcast with no audience. So that would mean we would put the play up here. It would be a small cast show, and we would work with TL Solutions to record and live stream the show and then host it on our website. And then we're targeting spring for a possible in-house production with live audiences. But again, all of this is subject to change based on what is safe, because that is our priority. It's keeping our artists safe as well as our audiences safe. That said, what I did not put on here is that we do have plans in place for being able to reopen with, you know, things like how we would stagger time arrivals. We have plans for what we need to do to our bathrooms to make them safer. We have plans for exits and entrances. We have plans for digital programs. We have a lot of this kind of in place already, and concessions as well. We have a plan for people being able to order concessions online prior to coming and having like a showroom hostess. So we've got all these really good plans in place. We're just not at a point where we feel like it's safe or responsible or financially effective for us, if I'm being honest, to even do it in the first place. So we're just kind of going to continue to evaluate that. So our FY21, I've said, is going to be the more challenging year, I think. The board did approve an FY21 budget, and Jeff will talk more about this, but we wrote one that included plans for 0% operation, 25%, 50%, 75, and 100% operation. We already know we're not going to be at 100% operation. What we did was sort of worst case scenario planning, and I identified that we have 129,000-ish of hard operating expenses. That includes continuing to offer health care to our entire staff, some payroll, as well as the building expenses and insurance and things like that. So far, we have 20,000 in confirmed revenue, but I wrote a budget that I felt we could confidently, even with zero programming, bring in about $63,000 for next year. And so it is, at this zero level, it is a deficit. But basically, if you know me or you know us, we do all of this very conservatively. It's what protects us. We understand what the worst case scenario is, and then we don't let that happen. We do have opportunities with continued virtual programming through both performance and education, with also, again, evaluating small cast shows. We have some opportunities for creative production, including potentially maybe finding an outdoor space. We also still have opportunities through fundraising and additional grants. The biggest opportunity that we have, and this is a call to action for anyone on this call, is advocacy. It is so important that if you love theater and you love the arts in general in Reno, that you are contacting your representatives and letting them know as they are continuing to make budgets and things like that. We need them to not take away the very little funding we already get. The last I heard, the arts were about 0.14% of the city budget, and we're just asking them not to deplete it. So you will see letters that are going to start coming around from like Reno Arts Consortium. And if you care about what we do and you want to see us around for another 85 years, please get involved and sign those letters and share those letters and make those phone calls, because it will make a difference literally to this company. You will help us. The only other thing about the numbers is one of the things RLT has done, we've been in a privileged position to be able to create an annual budget where it wasn't necessarily that every program was going to, you know, we were going to see, okay, we're going to spend $10,000 on this show and it's going to make 20. We were in a position, because we have had, you know, reserves and things like that, to be able to say, we're going to do this show. We don't know that it's going to make as much money, but it's an important story to tell. And it fit into an annual budget. For a little while, we're going to need to do individual activity budgets, meaning we will not produce shows or projects that we know we can't at least cover the cost of through both funding and ticket sales. So that's just a little bit of a change in mentality and how we're going to be moving forward to keep us protected. Whew. I'm almost done. The 3-phase growth plan. So Deanna mentioned this, that we had talked about this for the last few years, that there is a plan that we had put in place. Staff sustainability was number one. We completed that as of July 2019. Phase 2 was the new seats. We completed that in September, October of 2019. Phase 3 was evaluating our spaces and potentially getting new space. And that is currently underway, although it is taking a backseat to some of what we're dealing with COVID. The building committee has relaunched. We have been in the process of getting property evaluations for our properties. And there are some really exciting opportunities on Pueblo that we are navigating and evaluating, including what we might do with our own lots, as well as some potential real estate opening up here on Pueblo Street. And I know that it sounds crazy that we're even talking about this right now, but it's actually really smart because we're watching how the market is going to be affected by COVID as well. And we've got a great team of people who know far more about that than I do, looking out for us. So that's an update on our growth plan. And I just want to close by saying this, and I'll try not to cry. We've got this. RLT has been around for 85 years. We've survived many financial crises, World War II, and we're still here. And we will be here because of all of you, because of our board. I want to thank the board and especially Max for the work that they've been doing tirelessly. It's almost as though they are paid staff members right now, really supporting us with their time and talent. I want to thank all of the artists who've reached out and said, we want to share, we want to write something, we want to do something, and we don't want anything for it. We just want it to support RLT. I want to thank the staff for the horrible sacrifices that they have had to make in terms of losing their employment. I want to thank our volunteers who continually reach out and say, what can I do? It's really amazing that everyone cares so much. And I know that this is not just my responsibility, and I'm so grateful for that it's all of us that are going to keep this thing going. And we have to, because what we do is really valuable and really makes a difference for our community. So before I sob, I'm going to say, does anyone have any questions? And let me stop sharing my screen so I can see you. How do I stop? No, pause. Stop. Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, I'm almost there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? You can feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. I know I covered a lot, but if there's something I didn't cover or something you want more information on, please feel free to let me know. Really?
You just did a great job.
I talked a lot, I know. Thank you for listening.
And so, Melissa, I'd like to say too, thank you so much for guiding us through all of this. Everybody here will say there is nobody more determined than you to make this work. And the fact that you reached out to our other producing theaters in the area and just grabbed them arm in arm, like, Dorothy and the Tin Man and all those folks walking down the yellow brick road. You guys did that together, and that is so awesome. What will grow from that for our theater environment here, we don't even know, but we know it's going to be good. And so thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah, I just want to say again that Mary at Bruca and Joe and Chris at Good Luck Macbeth have been an invaluable support system for Reno Little Theater as well, that we owe them a great deal of thanks. That all four of us, we meet weekly. We sometimes have agenda items where we actually get things done, and other times we just say, what's going on with you? How are you? And it's been invaluable. I think that this collaboration is something that is going to impact the community, the theater community, moving forward for a long time. And we're already talking about ways that we can continue this to make a safe space for artists, to make a more effective community. So yeah, I just want to shout them out too, because it's been a really wonderful collaboration. Carol has a question. Hi, Carol.
Yeah. Make it simple for someone who was losing track of the numbers. where do we stand for fiscal year 21 as far as usable funds available to get us through what you're currently doing now?
Oh, we are totally in a position to have a year where we have zero income. That's we have our endowment that is again $45,000 and we haven't touched. We also have our checking account that is well above our 3-month minimum. So we may take a loss, but we will survive it. And our goal is to mitigate that loss as much as possible.
Thank you.
Yes. It's hard. I can't see everyone on the screen. So, oh wait, I see chats. Oh, no, just nice things. Thank you. Oh, I am so sorry. Yes, Adi, we did implement our first intimacy coach. I am so sorry. That is really important, actually. Adi served as our first intimacy coach this year, and that is something that we are so proud of, again, being committed to creating a safe space for our artists as well as our audience members. And having Adi come in as an intimacy coach gave us specific processes for as directors and actors to utilize to be able to work in intimate moments. And you think intimate, you think that just means, you know, sex, and that's not what it means at all. It's literally how we move together and how we touch each other, and theater requires a lot of that. And so we were really excited to bring Adi in for that. And I know as a director who got to have an intimacy coach on Murder on the Orient Express, it was something that made our space safer and our art better. I also forgot that we brought Holly Natwara in as a guest artist on Murder on the Orient Express as well. Holly did some, I'm totally blanking. What is it, Moira? What is that called? I've just lost my mind. Viewpoints, thank you. Holly came in and did viewpoints with us for Murder on the Orient Express. I'm so sorry, Adi. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. This time, we'd like to move to the policy committee reports, and the first one will be the budget and finance. Jeff, would you take the stage?
Yes, first let me put on my financial glasses.
Thank you.
And Melissa did a wonderful job encapsulating all of our finances through this year. I'd like to go down line by line and read all of the numbers off from the budget, because nothing makes an annual meeting more interesting than just reading numbers. I'll do a real quick high flyover. As Melissa said, we had a challenging year, but we actually came out of it better than we originally budgeted, which I think is a huge credit to Melissa and all of the staff there. Just real quick, the overall revenues are right around $417,000, expenses $435,000. Net loss at about $19,000, which is originally, we thought that was going to be closer to $50,000 when COVID hit. Couple of things I want to point out is the original box office forecast was at $171,850, and we ended up at $111,283, which is just a net difference of $60,000, even though we dropped 3 of our 6 shows. So I think that's that speaks well as to you know, our primary business should be coming in through the box office, and we did really well even with only 50% of the shows. The other thing I'd like to point out is the education income was right around $38,000, almost $39,000, and the expenses were only $5,800. So we made almost a $33,000 profit off of the education program, which is an excellent investment, not only financially, but also in the future of Reno Little Theater. The more students you bring into the program at a young age, the more they really grow that love for theater. It also gathers a lot of support from their friends and family. So it's an excellent investment, both financially and in developing future audiences. Just overall, I want to say, Melissa, continues to do an excellent job of managing the financials. Her and the staff do what I think is really a difficult thing, which is they balance excellent art with excellent financial management. And there aren't a lot of organizations that I've been a part of that can do both of those. Some of them can't do either very well. So extremely well done for Melissa and all of the staff. Touching briefly on fiscal year 21, as Melissa said, we focused on the fixed expenses. You know, the idea was when we first kind of started talking about it, we were like, how do you forecast for a current situation? You know, not knowing if you're going to be able to do anything in the next year. And Melissa and Maxine and I kind of looked at each other and went, eh? But what we came up with was we said, okay, what are the expenses we know we're going to have to pay, such as utilities? We knew we wanted to keep the staff involved because the staff really is the heart and soul of Reno Little Theater. So we wanted to keep the health insurance and just looked at what our minimal operations costs were if we did absolutely nothing on stage next year. As Melissa said, we're going to budget projects on a case-by-case basis, look at what's a realistic revenue projection for those projects, and then set the expense budget for those projects accordingly so that it, you know, hopefully is at least at break even. You know, I think hopefully I speak for people on the board when I say I think that we wouldn't mind just breaking even. I think we would call that a win next year. But just keeping the forecast very conservative. So again, I think Melissa and staff have done an excellent job with looking at a very challenging situation and coming up with a good plan for next year. I have a lot of confidence in our ability to get through this looking very good financially. And that's pretty much all that I've got, unless there are questions.
I don't see any questions.
And I'm taking my financial glasses off.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeff. So we'll move on to the governance committee. Melissa, the issues with the governance committee that this year we did the revised mission statement, which Melissa covered, and we will have election after the last committee report. But the one other item the governance committee has is the proposal of a one-year special appointment for Scott Hernandez to the board, which we'll take up at the first meeting of the new year. So does anyone have any questions about governance?
The governance committee will also be looking at our bylaws again, about the inclusion of the IDEA committee as a standing committee. We're still in the process of looking at how that type of committee would be included in our operational documents. So that's for very early on in the agenda next year.
If there are no questions, then we'll move on to the HR committee. Sherry?
Yes, hi. So as Melissa spoke to earlier in the presentation, so this year the HR committee had met multiple times and really on an ongoing basis since March, just to kind of monitor the situation. We did get the PPP grant, which had helped a lot, but you know, time has continued to move forward with COVID. It became clear that we needed to furlough staff. As Melissa said, we kind of explored every single option and was very thoughtful and purposeful about the decision that we came to. So as of July 1st, all 4 staff members were furloughed. We kept on Melissa, you know, for obvious reasons, but you know, it's a situation that's changing daily and we're still trying to figure that out. We're monitoring everything, especially with unemployment and potential benefits running out there. But we are hoping to bring on staff as soon as possible. We will probably bring back individuals as needed. As of right now, if Melissa does need any help or assistance, we are in a position to be able to bring them back kind of on like an hourly rate as needed. But yeah, we are looking to kind of slowly bring them back on a permanent basis when we feel like we are able to. And as you know, that situation is ever changing. So
Thank you, Sherry. Are there any questions?
I don't see any questions.
Okay, then we'll move on to elections. We have no board members terming out this year. The board members eligible for re-election to another 3-year term are Deanna and Jeff. David Gamble Jr. and Ann Silver have each completed a 1-year special appointment and are ready to be elected to a 3-year term. Our bylaws allow for between 9 and 13 board members. And with the re-election of Deanna and Jeff and the election of David and Anna, our board will stand at 10 members. At our next scheduled board meeting, we plan to propose to the board the election of Scott Hernandez to a special 1-year appointment, and that will bring our count to 11. I'd like to ask for recommendation from the governance committee. Nettie?
Yes, the committee recommends the election of David Gamble Jr. and Ann Silver, and the re-election of Deanna Podstava and Jeff Chamberlain, each for 3-year terms with no nominations from the floor.
I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the recommendation.
I move to accept the governance committee recommendation. We need a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Amy.
It has been moved and seconded to accept the governance committee recommendation.
It was Amy that second. I'm sorry.
Amy and Nettie both
Amy
did.
and, I'm sorry, okay. And
Amy takes it.
okay. It has been moved and seconded to accept the governance committee recommendation to elect David Gamble Jr. and Ann Silver and to re-elect Deanna Podstava and Jeff Chamberlain, each for 3-year terms. All in favor, say yes.
How do we do that? Can you give a thumbs up?
I can vote for myself? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Opposed, say no.
I don't see any opposed.
I don't see any either. Any abstentions? Okay, with no abstentions, the motion has carried. David, Ann, and Deanna and Jeff, I thank you for your willingness to serve. Our first board meeting for the new fiscal year will be August 5th at 5:30, at which time officers will be elected and chair committees appointed.
And Scott appointed.
So I'd now like to call for any just general questions from the membership.
Or comments?
Or comments. Well, Melissa.
Oh, Moira.
Oh,
Moira.
Sorry, I just thought of something. Has there been any thought or talk about the Blythe Awards this year?
Oh, thank
What's going to happen?
Yes. The Blythe Awards are underway. We are in the middle of preparing for the Blythe Awards. I can't announce the date, but it will be mid-September. It will be virtual. Liv Rocky will be hosting again, and we'll be working with a lot of your favorite funny folks, including Bryce and Ryan. We are currently working on a lot of fun digital things. I just recently reached out to the directors of all the shows. I'll be reaching out to the cast tomorrow. So you will all be hearing a lot more about the Blythe Awards over the next few weeks. Thank you for that question. Carol.
Carol.
I want to make a comment about my being blown away when I'm very new with this computer stuff, so I've been having a sharp learning curve. When I found you on YouTube and found out what you were doing virtually this year, I've been very impressed. I think you've done an amazing job, and I just wanted you to know it. And that's when I actually called up and said, put me on your email list, because I didn't have email before, so that I can be advised of what's going on. I'm still having a little trouble figuring out how to get to you, but that's my personal problems with my discomfort with the equipment. But what I have seen has been very impressive, and I just wanted you to know it was recognized. I'm sure many people have told you that, but Julie, who knows what a neophyte I am when it comes to computers, can understand that this has been a big deal for me, and I think you've done a great job.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you so much, Carol.
I want to also say a quick thank you to someone else that I have not properly thanked, and that is Lyric and TL Solutions. I'm sure you all know Lyric has been my right hand for many years and decided to leave us and start his own company, which we are so supportive of. And in fact, we're like one of their first clients because we really want to support Lyric and this endeavor. And what we receive in return is high quality work with so much heart. And without Lyric in this moment, I don't think we would be able to do the type of work that we've been doing or to get the word out about that work. So I want to make sure that everyone knows how valuable Lyric is to this company and to me and my sanity. I love you. And also, you know, it is to kind of to what you said, Carol, we're all navigating this new transition. It's very foreign to us. We produce live events, and so we're having to learn new technologies and also communicate them to our audiences. We're doing our best, but we understand that there's a learning curve, and I'm just hoping that we're going to continue to see, as we have seen, that every time we offer a new virtual event, more people are joining us for them, and most people are returning from one to the next, and that's all we can ask for. So.
How about a tutorial for the ones of us who are really struggling with your new YouTube channel?
So I will send it to you, because we actually did create a video that is on our website that we post for every online event so that you know how to access it, but I'll make sure I'll send it to you directly. We have we have a written version and we have a filmed version where Victoria is actually step by step going through. And it's just one of those things, once you learn it, it's 3 steps, but it does take a little bit of time. So, but I will make myself a note to send it to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Carol, we have been including those in the emails, but I will do my best to make those more clear.
I have one little question.
Yes,
Julie.
I occasionally get emails just saying this shows, you know, here's your updates, or just something like that, a weekly or monthly update or something. But I never got something that said about the annual meeting today. Kirk signed us up for that, I think through Facebook is where you saw it.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot more stuff being announced on the social channels, but I don't think, like, as Carol pointed out, not everybody uses that. Julie doesn't use them.
So this, yeah.
So we just need more, making sure, especially at this point, that there's more contact by email as well.
I don't know if it was through Sign Up Genius or something, because I'm on that, but when I went into Sign Up Genius just to see if it would, it wasn't something I'd been invited to.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just so you know, this was included in several weeks of online emails. It was also on our website. It was also on our Facebook, and we also send it out through Sign Up Genius. So unfortunately, I think what we're up against is that people are receiving so many emails from so many different places that they may not be seeing them. But we've included them in the last 4 weeks.
I may have missed it on one of the emails. It just was, saying what was coming up. I may have missed that, but I did not have access to it on Sign Up Genius. I went in there and signed in, and it was not, I could not sign up on that way. It was not an option. So I'll talk to you about that later, see if I.
Yeah, I definitely want to figure it out. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Julie. Any other questions?
So eerie.
Oh, Darcy?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm signed up for I'm on the Blythe Awards committee meeting that's supposed to be on August 8th. Is that still happening? I haven't heard any
Thank you
updates
for
on that.
reminding me about that. So that was with our special events committee that Victoria ran, and was a meeting that she had set prior to this COVID thing. So I'll reach out to everyone, but I'll also reach out to Libby and let her know that there are people that are on that committee that may be willing and able to help. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Thank you, Darcy. Any other questions?
Eric, hi.
I just wanted to actually say thank you, because you're really taking risks. You're letting us try new things. I mean, FU Aristotle was something that we've never done, and trying to figure out a way to do it, letting us do the radio play. I know that you must be thinking, I don't know if this is going to work, but you're letting artists continue to collaborate and try. You're living up to the mission, and I really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to you, Melissa, to the board, to the whole organization for really living up to that.
Thank you. I mean, look, my job is to just make sure that this place is a home for artists to do stuff. And so we need the artists to do stuff. So I'm so grateful that we're able to do that. So thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else? I'm scrolling. I don't see any other.
I don't see any other questions. Well, Melissa, I have nothing else to say other than just thank you. This has been a very strange year. I don't think it's going to get less strange very soon. We're just going to have to continue to stay creative and flexible and optimistic. And again, I want to thank you for your support, and I want to continue to thank Melissa for everything she does, which is monumental. And do you have any final questions?
No, it's just so good to see all of your faces, and I just hope that you'll continue to work with us. And I said it early on, but what makes us special is not just that we do high quality work. I mean, that's something that we strive for all the time, but I think that what makes our organization special, and most community theaters, is that it's about the people, it's about the community, it's about the relationships that we build. And right now, I know we're all leaning on those relationships a lot, but also in a very distant kind of way. It's just such a weird thing we're all living through. So I'm so grateful for all of you, and we miss everyone. We can't wait to get back, but I also really appreciate your understanding, and the fact that I've never felt pressured to make decisions that are based on anything other than what's best for the community. And that, I think, is the most important thing. So thank you all. And
Melissa, I have to say it. I caught your little singing bit. I don't know how I fell on it, but I adored it. I loved it. Do more.
Okay, thank you.
Melissa, do you mind sending me the recording of this meeting? I'm going to be relying on a replay for a lot of the minutes.
I will, and I will also share my slide presentation and make that available for people who missed it, and try to get that up online as well. Okay, I think that's everything. I'm sorry we didn't have donuts today, so I hope that you will have a lovely Sunday morning. Get yourself a treat, maybe a mimosa, kick back, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll stay tuned for more information.
Okay, with that, we'll adjourn the meeting, and we look forward to everything reopening so we can see you in person very soon.
All right, bye everybody.